Hi, my name is Jaden.
And my name is B. Today we will be instructing you on how to make a pillowcase.
This is for our Girl Scout Silver Award project and it's called Kases for Kids.
Our goal was to make pillowcases to donate to Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital and to teach others how to continue doing this work.
We are doing this to bring a smile to kids' faces. We came up with this idea because my sister was in the hospital for 7 days and couldn't leave her room. She was really sad and hated being kept there. When they came around and delivered pillowcases to the kids' rooms, my mom said it was the first time she's seen her smile the whole time. It made her so happy. We would like to bring that kind of joy to others.
Now to start off, we need to get our supplies together. First, our fabric. We need 3/4 of a yard for our body, 1/4 of a yard for our cuff, and 2 inches for the trim. Different fabric stores have rules about whether they'll sell that small amount of fabrics. One of the fabric stores we went to only went to 4.5 inches as their smallest size, so we made trims for 2 pillowcases out of one 4.5-inch strip. You also need either scissors or a rotary cutter. We used a rotary cutter to make it easier to measure. Make sure before you start that you have a sharpened blade, and also if it's not being used that you have to put the safety on to avoid injury. You'll also need a ruler and a cutting mat. Next, a sewing machine. Jaden will show us the parts and how it works when we get to the sewing. You'll also need an iron. Never use an iron directly on the table. Either use a towel or an ironing board underneath the iron. Safety is important, so here's a few reminders. When the iron is on, you should be monitoring it. Make sure there are no little kids around that could reach up and get burned. Make sure the cord isn't somewhere that someone might accidentally pull it down. Always make sure, when setting it down, put it facing away from your body. When using the iron, never let it sit on the fabric in one place. Always keep it moving, otherwise you might scorch the fabric. We also need pins. Be careful when using pins because they have a very sharp end. While a pin cushion is not required, we learned it was easier to take the pins out and put them in the pin cushion when we did the sewing part. You should also have a seam ripper. Accidents happen and it's okay to mess up, but the seam ripper will then be necessary. You can gently remove your mistake and try again.
The first step is ironing out our 3 pieces of fabric. It's important to iron the fabric fully. This makes it easier to line up and even out when we are working with it. It will wrinkle up again in the sewing process. That's fine. We'll iron again when we're finished. After we iron, we need to measure out our fabric to ensure it's exact. We need to do this for all 3 pieces of fabric.
Our fabric size should already be close, but we need to cut it to be exact. Our sizes need to be 27 inches for the body. Our cutting board is a little small, so we folded the material an extra time and cut it to 13.5 inches. Next, we need 9 inches for the cuff. Then we need 2 inches for the trim. Once we have our fabric in the right sizes, we need to cut off our unfinished edge. First, we line them all up and smooth them out. Next, we have to make sure our edges over here are all lined up, and then it's time to cut.
We just have one more step before we get this ready to sew. We take our trim piece and fold in from its half and fold and iron into a 1-inch strip. This step is much easier with 2 people, but you have to be very slow and careful.
Now that our fabric is ready, we're going to lay it out. Take the cuff and open it completely. Lay it flat. The pattern should face up. If it's solid, make sure the center fold in the fabric points up. Then we take our large piece of fabric and lay it so the top edge matches the top edge of the cuff. This will also be pattern side up. Next, we take the iron trim piece and also line up the top edge. It is extremely important that the raw edge faces up. Now we go to the bottom of the large piece and roll it up. It works best if this is a fairly tight roll. When that is most of the way to the top, you'll see the cuff appear. We're going to pull that bottom edge over the cuff and over the roll we just made. Now we pin all of the edges together so we can sew it. Always be sure to keep the edges together and the fabric pulled so it lays flat. You don't want to catch that rolled part in the edge. Once the whole edge is pinned, it's time for sewing.
We're going to sew along the edge we just pinned. If you haven't sewn before, the really important part of starting is to make sure you move the pressure foot down to hold the fabric in place and push the needle down. Once you start a few stitches, you press the reverse lever and go back over those stitches. You should only go fast enough to be able to keep feeding the fabric evenly. When you reach the end, you'll do this again. Make sure the stitches don't unravel later. Before going to the next step, it's best to check the edge to make sure all the fabric edges are securely sewn in. If there are any gaps, you may need to rip out and repin, or you may be able to just resew in a section.
Once you're sure everything is securely sewn, there's a trick. You need to start pulling your rolled up fabric from the tube we just made. It can get a little tight, just don't rip it. When it's completely out, you can see how the pillow is taking shape. And see that none of our edges show, that they're all nicely tucked on the inside. Now we fold the material in half with the pattern on the inside. We then pin the two edges where our large fabric piece match up. This is the most noticeable place where the fabric should hopefully match up on the finished pillow. Ours weren't always 100% matched up, but close is best. Once it's pinned, you sew along the pinned edges.
Now we're sewing the pillowcase together. When you get to the corner, we have to lift the presser foot up to turn the fabric, but you have to leave the needle down.
Now we're going to turn our pillowcase inside out. And now we have a finished pillowcase. When we're done with our pillowcases, we need to wash and iron them. Now the hospital we're working with has requested we pack them in sealed plastic bags. We also made sure to keep them from being exposed to any pet hair or dander in case of kids who get these having allergies. We hope you enjoyed learning how to make a pillowcase,
And that you consider joining us in bringing smiles to kids who are going through some rough times.
Thank you for watching our video.
Bye!